Good afternoon on this January 2025. If you're new to my blog, my name is JanStephen Cavanaugh. A 300-word introduction, and for those of you repeating, if you scroll to about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you'll come to today's blog topic. But to introduce myself and what I'm about, I hold a doctorate in the field of human development. I have the markings of a old man much traveled, and maybe a little wisdom. I think of myself as doctor to planet Earth humanity. Well, somebody has to do it. I offer my observations and diagnoses, and most particularly on matters of war and warming. These are existential threats to my patient. They are the same thing, an assault on Mother Earth, patriarchy gone mad. As the prophets prophesize, I am hopeful that planet Earth humanity will grow into a law-based civilization, and with that, an age of peace. Planet Earth humanity just now, in this age, with the World Wide Web at your fingertips, the power to make that happen. That unrealized global will is what stands between us and an age of peace. What I observe is that the governments of planet Earth may be well-intentioned, questions in some cases, but are inept at saving us from the catastrophe that awaits our grandchildren on present course. The alternative, there is no in-between. An age of peace can only happen from the ground up. You all reaching up for what has been given, reaching down, justice. And my hope is to kickstart a conversation about making that happen. The trust is the key issue. It has to be a global conversation to build the trust. And that can only happen by each of you, one by one, becoming that voice billion strong. An age of peace built on a law-based civilization, a new dawn of our epic changing times. Now for the blog today, January 2025. Fearing Trump's peace, Ukraine will fail. I almost voted for Donald Trump because of his promise of peace in Ukraine. And now by a landslide, he is my president. To be a good citizen, I seek common ground with him. That's what we all should do after an election. From the opening peace initiatives of his, I fear he does not understand what is on the table and what is not for Russia. Right now, neutral Ukraine is non-negotiable from their perspective. More so, President Trump enters negotiations one down, as the war on the ground this past year has advantaged the Russians, something like 118,000 square kilometers. Not for a lot for the bloodshed, but nevertheless it's that inexorable Russian way of war. Shed a lot of blood to make it happen. That's how they won World War II. So in 2025, the big questions are, will Ukraine turn the tide of war around? I know that's what they're hoping with this guerrilla war based in Russia. And maybe that will cause Russia to collapse and Russian soldiers to start running away. And don't think it's likely, but you never know. What I do know is that as long as Russia is gaining territory, at some point in time, Zelensky will need to cry uncle or be accountable for losing more territory. And of course, according to the rules of war, when the truce is called, that marks the new boundary. That's the outcome of a war-based civilization. That's the result of going to war. Doesn't matter who started it. Once you're in war, everybody's responsible for it. Do note the Russians will not abide a North Korean-style peace with European soldiers on his border guarding some neutral territory or some idea, nor would we if we were them. Clear boundaries, well respected, this is me being the doctor, well respected, are needed for healthy relationships, whether persons be in between persons or families or nations. That's just well-grounded psychological theory. And we just had an election in which that issue was paramount, should help us understand Putin's position. Empathy is the key to success in both peace and war. The war philosophers will tell you that. Clear seeing the enemy is clear, is the requirement for victory. It's not seeing the enemy clearly that leads to defeat. Sun Tzu. And it will be a painful peace for us, once again on the losing side in one more of our kinds of wars, in our endless wars. Trump must have the courage to do what he promised to do to end this slaughter of this unnecessary war. Some would judge it a stupid war, stupid thinking, as the psalmist says. For this, he will get the Nobel Peace Prize for us. But to date, what I read leaves me fearful Trump will be caught in the trap of Biden's Vietnam in Ukraine. God help us all.